let the explosion begin. Boy, we got some breaking news today. I'm here with my good old friend here, Scott from Avionte Plus. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good, man. Always good. You know what I mean?
That's
Tuesday,
right.
summertime. I mean, I'm loving it.
I even wore my shark shirt for you.
No, you did. Boom.
Yes.
There we go. Look at that. Always a shark in the water. Okay, so we're going to just deep dive into this, man, because I got to tell you, when I seen you say Avionte Plus, you know what I think of when I see Plus? You see that everywhere. That's like you're getting this extra stuff. I mean, first thing popped in my head was AAA. AAA Plus is like, man, I'm getting the premium. So break it down to me, Scott, of what is Avionte Plus, man?
Yeah, Avionte Plus is this program that I run, and the program is for everything beyond the core platform. So Avionte has an awesome ATS middle office, back office. It's a mobile app, so it's an all-in-one staffing platform, but you want to have things like your background screening, your tax credits, or this really awesome technology that you found that will give your staffing firm a competitive edge, and you want to use that with the Avionte software. So Avionte Plus is a program for everything beyond the core platform to help you run those integrations. Most people call it partnerships. I don't like the term like marketplace or ecosystem because it's like marketplace, you can just grab random stuff off the shelf. Ecosystem is, this is connected to that, and it's like this web, but it's a curated experience for these technologies, and it consists of three things. One is partnerships, like you think of, which are the logos you see on our website, which is 80% of staffing firms have to do that, like background screening, or WASI tax credits. People have to do that. So that's the partnership part of it. Next part is like AI. You and I talked a little bit about AI. There's all sorts of AI stuff out there. And all these they're growing, and it's going to give your firm a competitive edge. So we have the certified integration program, which that third party, if you found it or they find us, doesn't matter. They can consume the open API, and you as a customer says, I want to do this. So part of the certification, go ahead. So part of the certification is that they have to say, this is how the integration works. So when you purchase as a staffing firm, you know exactly how the integration works, what you're going to get from it, from that certified integration, because they may be just using you. You might be the only customer with Avionte, or a good example is I had a certified integration who in the first 3 months picked up 20 customers.
Get out.
Yeah, because they do this. It was a really cool thing where I didn't think of this until they brought it to me is, you're doing an onsite with a customer, you need to do drug testing, right? And so that you buy the cups from them, and you can actually have people provide samples there on the spot, and their app on the phone scans the cup after the sample and tells you what the result is, and they can write back into Avionte bold that this happened, but then you can see the chain of custody in their system, and it interfaces with the app. So it's this really cool ability for the staffing firms to say, I want this technology. Not everybody does that, so it's not a partner. Certified integration. And then the third part is we have enterprise customers or people that have their own development firms that want to consume the API themselves. So you have customers with developers on staff who are writing connections with their internal systems, connecting it with Slack, connecting it with Microsoft Teams in order to provide a better cohesive system. So that's the plus. Everything beyond Avionte's core platform is the plus in those three parts of the program.
I can tell you, I gotta love it. How long has the Plus been around?
Oh, that's good. I should know that. It's probably, was it beginning of 2003? Sorry, 2023. So it's been
It's
at
been out
least
for a
2
while.
years. Yeah, maybe even getting close to 3 years. So I essentially rebrand what the partner program is, because we have the open API, and to address when people hear open API, not everybody knows what that is. So let's address that real quick.
Let's break it down, because I'm going to tell you real quick, Scott. API, when you tell people that, most of them don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, what's an open API? Give it to them.
Yeah, here's the analogy. I like to talk in word picture. So imagine your house is your Avionte Bold, your ATS, your payroll system, right? And so the front door is made to be open, but you lock your front door, right? And only authorized people with a key can get in. So you hear people talk about an API key. That's essentially what it is it's the access to your house. And then you have different areas of the house, like you have your dining room, your living room, your kitchen. Those are like sections of your database. Like it could be your ATS section and your payroll section. So you go into those rooms of your house, and there's outlets on the wall. So if I want my ATS data, I go into the ATS room, and there's a plugin. They're all the same size. They're all the same shape. Or if you go to Europe, you have to have a different adapter, right? So you can go into the room you want because you have an access key. You go through the open API door. You go to the room you want. You plug in the standardized plug, and I can suck the data out, or I can put data back in. So that is essentially when you're dealing with an API, you have to come with your own code. So if, like the third parties, the certified integration program, if an AI technology comes up and says, I want to integrate to Avionte, you say, yep, here's the plugin. It's standardized. So just plug into it.
I love that. Way to break it down that way, man. Okay, before we even start into what we're going to talk about, the Smart Fund, what's coming up in about what, 6 weeks, the first week of August? Give it to me,
Oh,
man. Woo!
fantastic. So Avionte Connect is our annual user conference. And for me, it's like Super Bowl time. We get to see our customers. We have prospects coming by. You're getting north of 40 different vendors or partners of ours that are going to be on site. I like it because we're getting everybody in one spot and we can all share ideas. I like it for our customers aspect because we have the experience center, but then we also have the partner showcase. And so you as a customer can actually put your hands on the different technologies and say,
Ooh.
how does Avionte work? How does this new technology work? You can shop 40 some, 50 some vendors and be able to say, this is the right technology for me. Last year, and then again, this year, I have the up and coming row. It's a certified integration row. So they're smaller kiosks, so we can fit more of them into a smaller area. And you can see what is that up and coming technology in the staffing industry that I've probably not heard of. I've probably not experienced yet, and I can actually now put my hands on it and I can try it out. So I'm super excited for Avionte Connect.
I love it. In good old Minnesota. I can't wait. It's going to be exciting. And correct
Yeah.
me or not, if you are an Avionte user, it's free, right?
Correct. It's free for your user, and if you are thinking about using Avionte and you are a prospect of Aviontes, you can go ahead and you can stop by. Also, it's free for you also to register. So, and we limit the people that are exhibiting to only people who have integrations with Avionte. So, as a customer, when you show up, you know whatever you see works, and it works today. So.
It's going to be a blast. The education is off the channel. And I'm going to just say, it's shark approved, by the way. Boom. Oh, love it. Can't wait for that, man. It's coming up soon. So, okay,
Yes.
so let's deep dive into what we want to talk about, the Smart Fund, man. I'm going to
Yes.
tell you, Scott, I did some research on this and the flexibility of a company that needs funding or might need it in the future. I mean, you guys hit it right on with this with a home run. So let's just deep dive into it and tell a little bit people about what is Smart Fund, and then we'll break it down step by step.
Yeah. So Avionte Smart Fund is the ability for staffing firms, and we all know that in staffing we have to like pay our employees, pay the temp staff before our client pays us, right? So we have this cash outlay of money, we have this cash crunch, and we have to make sure that we're always paying everybody. So sometimes you need a loan, you need somehow to get capital to pay your people before you get paid. So a Smart Fund is what we all know is you're able to take your invoice and get funding from the funding company to pay your employees, and then you have to pay back that loan. So Smart Fund, the reason that it's different, the reason that staffing firms are saying that's what I want is built actually into the Avionte software. So you can look at, these are all the invoices I have, and this is my available credit, and I can choose those invoices to fund within 24 hours, have that money deposited into my bank account. So the key to it is all integrated into the Avionte back office. And once you start like, okay, I get what invoice funding is. I get that I need cash, but then like tomorrow running a CEO and CFO education course on how to optimize your balance sheet when you're using Avionte Smart Fund for funding, because you start to look at the profitability per customer. You're starting to look at the profitability of your firm for M&A, and you're using the same funding in a little bit different way because it's integrated to the back office, but actually help improve your balance sheet optimization.
Well, I got to tell you, I think in this day and age, everybody needs funding. I mean, I tried to self-fund one time, and that's why I got gray in my hair, man. I'm seriously, Scott. I mean, the employees, you got to pay them first, and you get frustrated.
Yeah.
So I got to love the flexibility about this. So one thing I want to talk about is, you say you can use this on Open API too, right? I mean, let's talk about that with the clients. I mean,
Yeah.
what kind of API does it support? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so this is another those key pieces. So when you're trading data between two systems, you want to make sure it's secure and you have the data integrity and data consistency. So traditionally, what you have what staffing firms are doing when they're working with Avionte and a funding company is they're downloading information out of Avionte onto their local machine, and then they're uploading it to another third party, or they're emailing it, which isn't secure. So by having this built actually in the software, when you choose the invoice and then you hit fund with SmartFund,
Okay.
it opens up the Canmon. Canmon is the company behind the ones providing the financing. The Canmon modal opens up inside Avionte. So you don't leave Avionte. The data goes into Canmon, and you can say the invoice is worth $12,000, but you only need $7,000. You can fund only $7,000 of that 12, so you don't pay a fee on all 12. You only pay the interest on that 7. And the data has stayed secure because it's been an API from us to Canmon. Data integrity is correct. So like the invoice number, the amount that's on there, the customer, all of that is within the API. So it's all secure. And then Canmon would be able to deposit your money into your bank account within 24 hours. All again, one closed system, so that you're dealing with a data security and data integrity via the API.
Okay, so here's the $1 million question. Why did you guys decide to do this for your customers? I mean, because there's other funding companies out there and stuff like this. Let's talk about this all in one. Why did you come up with this? I mean, were you in a boardroom one day and just said, we need to do this?
Yeah, Richard. So this is it's fun because this is where we talk about the customers and actually talking to the customers. So that's a fun part about my job, is when this is not something new. Funding is not new. Like you said, when you're running your firm, you're trying to self-fund, and that's hard to do. And trying to get a bank loan is difficult. You have to get all this information, and you can't increase it on a dime, right? Like I need more. I had this really big opportunity come in front of me. I need $100,000 more. They won't do that quick, right? So I was talking to customers. I've known this has been an issue, and the particular customer story that told me like now is the time to do this is when I was talking to the customer, and they said, look, here's the deal, is we need something that's more dynamic. We need something that's quicker, because we had this, we were doing 100 placements at this large retail warehouse, and they'd been servicing the customer for a while. They did a really good job for the customer. The customer is large. You're probably starting to guess the name of what this is. And they said, you have to staff 75% of the positions we give you. Not a problem. They were doing it almost 100%. And they, since they're big, said that net payment terms are 120.
Ooh.
Right. So I'm giving a really bad story. I'll give a different client story here in a second. But when you're looking at that, that's like $2.3 million outlay before you see a dollar for that customer because of the 120 terms. So you gotta make sure everybody else is paying on time. And if anybody else slow pays you or doesn't pay, you're kind of sunk on that same. But this firm had been doing well with that 100 assignments in the net 120. What happened is the retailer said, you're doing a great job. We're going to give you, we're flexing up here. We're going to give you another 100 assignments. And the client had to turn it down, because if he would have taken the 100 assignments, he didn't have the capital in order to get at least 75 more people, right? So he was looking at, I need that much more. If I take this, essentially I'm going to fire myself from this customer. So you had to turn the business down. So I'm looking at, there's got to be a better way for the funding to dynamically increase, getting what they need. It's simple. You can optimize your balance sheet. I'm talking to CEOs and CFOs. Like, the more control you have on where you're deploying financing, the better you're running your firm. So if you're looking at going into M&A, you can show profitability by customer. These little things are important, more than just the cash flow item that we're talking about. So so I've been working on this for over a year, and I'm looking at that story of like that customer. What can I do for customers? And so going to the market, I wasn't looking for just a funding company. We have lots of good partners that are funding companies, and they provide services that aren't the SmartFund service, right? And there's reasons for what they're doing. What I was looking for is an embedded lending technology had funding behind it, because I needed to put it right into the Avionte software. So it literally is you're looking at the invoice screen, and for those Avionte users, you're looking at the invoice screen on the left-hand side, you're checking the box, and down there in the bottom now is a fund with SmartFund button. It's the experience you're expecting is all right there, and it's simple to deploy and use. That's why I needed an embedded lending technology that had a funding company behind it. So that's where we went out, looked at a few of them. Canmon had the best experience. I interviewed their customers, right?
So you did a lot of research on this.
Right, because you have to make sure
Yeah.
that there's a local large company that's a household name. People probably start to guess which one that is. That's a customer of CanMon that I got to actually talk to and see how their customers were using it and the adoption by their customers on utilizing it. And they have many household names. CanMon's not really known in the staffing industry, but they have many household names as customers of theirs that use their lending product with their customers. So after all that research, we started then doing the building of it, and everybody's like, "Well, all of a sudden this press release came out, and didn't know that you guys were working on this, and how did, like you said, how did this come about?" That was a little over a year that I've been working on it, and I don't like talking about things until they're out there and fully
Hmm.
ready to utilize. So when we did the press release and the announcement, we already had, due to release cycles, the buttons already were showing up in people's environments, and people were clicking on it before we had done the press release. So it was good to know that the placement within the product is good, and then we could release it to everybody and tell them about it. So that's a little bit about what I heard from the client, why I wanted to solve it, and why an embedded lending technology versus just a funding company.
And you know what I love about that? Being on the other side, I mean, we know that when companies, they don't pay on time. I mean, Scott, right now with the way the economy is, 120 days is lucky sometimes, you know? So they got this payroll out for maybe 2 to 3 months. I mean, and they can't ever grow. This is where they can grow now. And they don't have to worry about this. I think the biggest thing that you guys solved is they don't have to worry about the funding part now. They can go out and staff,
Oh
recruit,
yeah,
sales.
yeah. So on that one, let's do a customer story. So I did a webinar last month, beginning of last month, and I actually had a client that's using SmartFund on there because it's like I designed it to help customers with growth, get instant funding, increase your capital at the speed of sales, which you just talked about. Like we want to go out there and sell customers and staff, right?
Yeah.
So I had all these points, and one point that I had forgotten about to address is by different industry, the need for funding is different. So this particular customer that I'll talk about here, they're in an industry that's really hard to get financing for. The auto auctions, it's hard to get financing in that area. Staffing firms, you guys know your verticals better. People are saying in the medical and the IT, which are high wages, you land a client, all of a sudden your capital need increases real quickly.
Hmm.
So there's different nuances per industry that you're staffing what you need for funding. But anyways, this particular customer, they're on the webinar, I said, what is your typical repayment terms? Because I use the 120 story is scary. She says, well, no, our net terms are usually next day, net 7 or net 30. We have a few net 60, right? So those are listening now could be like, okay, I identify more with that because I'm on shorter payment terms. And she said, what this did is even our clients are paying well, right? But what
Yeah.
this let us do is she had one of her clients that had seasonal work, and they usually can't pick up the seasonal work from this client. And the client approached them and says, I have the seasonal work. The other firm that I use is not able to staff it. And so they were able to pick it up because they picked it up and they invoiced that day, which means they had the funding that day so they could continue to place people. So it's just like they increased their
Man.
capital because they took the job, and then they could take the next job because they could instantly fund the invoice. And these repayment terms with CanMon, they had like a 30-day repayment term, but they're getting paid by the client in 7 days. So they're definitely cash ahead to do it, able to do early repayment of that loan, and they get refunded or rebated. I can't remember the right word. They get the money back
Hmm.
for the financing that they didn't use. Right. So it's all win-win situation with this where you can increase your capital at the speed of sales. One more point on that you made is slow pay. So you figure out which vendors you as a staffing firm figure out which vendors you can slow pay because you can't slow pay talent. Talent need to be paid on payday. Right.
Exactly right.
And when you're looking at it's my rent, it's my software, it's my what can I slow pay, what can I stretch out payment terms on, and you're making those decisions as a firm. Sometimes you end up hurting relationships, whether it's the internal staff, like they're having to field these incoming calls from people saying, "Why aren't you paying me? Why aren't you paying me?" To I'm hurting my relationship with that vendor to the staffing firm because I'm not able to pay them. I'm asking them for extended terms. So what this does is just eliminates all of that, lets you grow at the speed of sales, and helps you just take on more assignments. And then again, I'm going to speak to the CEOs and CFOs with you're authorizing certain users to do this, and you can give them directions on which clients to fund, because that one client may have really large receivable that you have,
Yeah.
right? A really large invoice, but you don't use that one. You use actually a smaller one because the margin on the bigger guy is tighter. So if you have to take a financing fee on a tighter margin client, it doesn't look as good when you go to M&A as if you take that financing charge out of a more profitable client. It shrinks the margin on that one, but still keeps a large profit margin on them. So, thinking beyond just having cash on hand, and you start thinking about running your firm more effectively, efficiently, like, is a game changer of having it embedded in the software.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it scales unlimited, you just keep growing, growing, growing. And that's the thing,
Yes.
Scott, that people want. I mean, at this day and age, you want to grow, of course, don't worry
Yep.
about money problems. That's like
Yeah.
money talks. I mean, come on. So,
Yeah.
okay. So you ready for this? So, okay. So I'm going to throw this out at you, man. So say I have a staffing firm. I already have funding. Should I sign up for smart funding? That's the question I got to ask you.
Yeah. So when you're looking at your financial toolbox, you need to have different tools in there for different reasons. And sometimes you don't touch a tool for a while, and that's fine. But you want to make sure that tool is in your toolbox and you're ready to use it.
Okay.
So SmartFund, it might not be your primary source. It may be something you're looking at. We have firms that are doing their own cash flow. So they didn't need a funding company at this point, but they looked at that growth idea as if a big growth opportunity is given to them, they would have to use a bank line, and they have those set up, right? So they have the cash flow, they have the bank line. Why put this one in there? And they realize it's a good just in case, because right now we don't know what's going to go on with the economy, right?
We don't know at all.
With the employment laws and the enforcement and the wars, and what's going to go on. So if the economy goes up, we need access to capital because we need to be certain put more people to work. If it goes down, my customers are going to slow pay me, but I still have to pay the talent that's on assignment, right? So the economy is not going to stay stagnant, right? So it's either going to go up or go down, right? So I don't need it now, but one of those two things happens, I'm going to need it. So SmartFund, the reason that you should go to smartfund.avionte.com, and you'll see the Apply Now button. I will talk about that in a second, but that's where you want to go. It doesn't file I'm going to get the term of the form wrong, UCC1. I think I got the right initials there. They don't file one of those. So your current lending options won't know that you are evaluating another item, and you can go all the way through setup and have it in the back office and take a look at it before you have to tell anybody anything. And the thing is you could set it up, let it sit there, and not say anything to anybody for 3, 4, 6 months, and then you need it, you can start using it, right? So it's a way to set it up, set it and forget it, kind of put it in your toolbox.
I love it. And there's no charge for that to set it up, right?
Correct. Yeah, there's no charge. The only time you have any charges is when you use it. So again, another reason to put the tool in your toolbox is it costs you nothing for acquisition of the tool. If you want to try it out once, Canma is doing a promotion where the first invoice before August 4th, which is Connect. There's another plug for Connect. They're rebating the fees on the invoice. So it's like there's a no risk trial of it if you would like to do that. So that's why you should turn it on and have it in your toolbox when needed.
I love it. And we got to go back to this one more time. The flexibility. I mean, Scott, we talk about this all the time, but this really what makes it a game changer and different. Can you break us down a little bit more? I know you said a little bit about flexibility, but if you're a staffing firm, there's so many different options you have with this funding more than other, if you have a big funding company, I don't want to say any names, but you might be pigeonholed in. This is, you pay as you go, basically.
Yep. Yeah. So going on some of those points is some of the funding companies out there make you turn over all invoices, right? So with SmartFund, you get to pick and choose which ones you want. I already talked a little bit about CEOs, CFOs can be smarter about picking the ones. So if you had, $1 million and you had to have $200,000 in fees, let's not do that. Let's reduce fees by reducing the amount of that you invoice. So that's one thing, is it's not an all or nothing funding option. The flexibility of being able to choose which invoices you want. So let's say that you invoice the customer this week. Next week is when you actually have the cash crunch. You don't have to fund that invoice immediately upon generating it. You can go back to invoices that are already sitting out there and say, these are the ones I want to choose. And like we gave the example earlier, I think I said $12,000 was the invoice and you only needed $7,000. You can on the screen change the amounts that you're funding for. So you don't have to fund the whole invoice. Again, saving on fees. And then Canmon gives you offers for different financing, different time frames. So then you can pick the repayment terms that you want as you're funding the invoice. So this one might be a 30-day repayment term that I want to use on this one. So it gives you, it's not all or nothing. You get to pick the ones you want. You get to pick the amount. You get to pick the repayment terms. It's that tool in your toolbox that you don't have today that you should be adding to help.
Well, it's like a safeguard. I mean, we talked about that. You know, it's you got something there. If you ever need it, you just pull it out. It's already embedded, so it's just plug and play. Am I right?
Right. Exactly. And you authorize certain users. So everybody who's in the back office can't do this. So you want to make sure that, and you trust certain employees to make certain decisions. So there you can go ahead and say, this is one that can do that. Other people can see that it's there. They can see the button's active, but they can't see your loan amounts and your repayment terms because it's locked down to just a few users.
Man, good stuff. Okay, so what is the application setup process? We got to talk about that because everybody's going to say, this is too easy to just set up. Break it down, man.
Yep. So if you go to smartfund.avionte.com, there's two buttons. There's an apply and then a learn more. Learn more will have your Avionte rep reach out to you to talk to you about it. The apply now is what I would suggest you do because what happens when you do the apply now, it's a 10-minute application. And if you listen to the webinar, again, we had customers speaking on this. And I always like to reference back. This is what the customer says. It's about a 10-minute application that you would complete. So only go to Avionte. Only hit the apply now if you are allowed to apply for credit for your firm, because you're going to get into it and all of a sudden realize, you're not the right person to fill out this application. So if you're allowed to apply for credit for your firm, go to smartfund.avionte.com, hit the apply now. It's going to ask you questions about yourself, the business, and the key is it's going to ask you to connect to your bank with Plaid. And if everybody's familiar with the software that you've connected your bank account using Plaid. So again, you talk about security, a secure way of connecting your application. Now, with being part of Avionte and having all the access to the invoices and then connecting to that bank account, you'll get your offers within 24 to 48 hours because we have all the data together. It's that last piece of connecting that bank account is the piece. And that will be giving you the exact rates that you have, giving you your repayment terms within 24 or 48 hours. And that's why I was saying do that first before talking to the Avionte rep, because the Avionte rep can't talk about numbers because they're not we're not a financial company. But when you do that, Canmon, when you do that, Canmon can actually talk to you about rates and all this stuff. And so then the Avionte rep and the Canmon rep together can talk to you about here's how it works in the software, here's the financing. I got educated by Canmon on what CEOs and CFOs care about when it comes to funding, not just meeting payroll, but all those other optimizations you can do in your business because of the way that we built the integration. So 10-minute application, connects your bank account, you get offers within 24 or 48 hours.
Man, that quick, just like that.
Yep.
I love that. Something else I want to talk about real quick before we wrap things up is the integration part. Everybody talks about integration. It's embedded into the back office. Can you break that down a little bit? Because I got to tell you, Scott, so many people I talk to out of these conferences, they don't understand what integration is embedded in the back office. And then, if it's not embedded, guess what happens? You have problems if you're outsourcing. So can you break that down for some people here?
Yep. So I'll say a couple things that it's not, because some people were like, oh, but isn't it like this? So I've been in the industry for 20 years. Things have gone from being able to, a file that you download and upload. We used to call that an integration. It's not that. We used to talk about one system every hour or once a day would drop a file into the other company's FTP, now SFTP server, and the other company brought it in. It's not that. It is a API integration such that when I, the user, do something on my platform, I click a button or I do a check mark, it sends via API that one piece of information in near real time. And near real time, you're counting in milliseconds from one system to the other. So when I've processed the invoice and I can see it there and I choose it and I hit fund with SmartFund, instantly, so my screen doesn't change, doesn't blink. I don't go to another window. I don't go to another tab. Right there, it opens up the Canmon application and tells me how much credit I have available and starts walking me through the repayment terms. Now, when I hit finish, because I've chosen everything I want, I hit finish. On the left-hand side, it'll say that this invoice has been sent for funding. Now, it takes up to 24 hours for
Yeah.
that money to hit your bank account. So that will hit in a pending status. And then when it's funded, it'll tell you that it's funded. So I don't have to open up that application again. I can actually see in the Avionte window that what the status of that invoice is. So it's,
Man.
again, all in one screen. People, if I didn't tell you this, you would think it's all Avionte software. That's how seamless it is. That people will look at the invoicing screen and they'll notice a different button or thing, but they'll think it's completely Avionte. Now, it's powered by Canmon. We have to do that because that's who's actually providing the financing. We're not getting into the flow of the money, right? It's between you and them. We're trying to provide the service for you to get the funding that you need the way you want it. Is fast, flexible funding on your terms, helping you grow at the speed of sales.
Man, you guys are solving all kind of problems. So, okay, so my question is to you: how big a staffing firm do you have to be to use this?
So I thought there was a certain size so I went to market thinking, I thought it was that 10 million north of 50, 60 million. I thought that was the sweet spot, but we've had people that are taking that are over 100 million. We have people that are taking that are less than 10 million. So I started off with my marketing in that segment.
Mm-hmm.
And the people, like I told you earlier, that the buttons were showing before we did the press release, and the ones that are clicking on it and the ones that are doing the application the last couple of weeks have been outside of those realms. So I'm not going to put a cap on it anymore. It's actually funding of all sizes are doing it. And I'm finding that the larger ones are doing it for the just in case scenario that you pointed out. The smaller ones are doing it because like the one that was on the webinar, they couldn't get financing or good terms where they were looking. They used different words for it. What was happening to them with the other funding that they were getting.
Choice words, right?
Right. So those lesser ones. Another story is another staffing firm. The husband had a really good income. She was running the staffing firm using his income that he was making, and they had a HELOC, right?
Yeah.
So if they needed funding, they pull more off the HELOC, and it's just like that's so much risk there. And what I want to do is de-risk the situation for those smaller staffing firms, be able to grow at the speed of business and not have to put personal assets or collateral, those kind of pieces up against it. Is using the funding provided by Canmon on the invoices that you're generating.
Good stuff. And let me guess, at Connect, SmartFund will be there. Actually, you can break it down there and you can teach them all about it, right?
Yeah. And the way that we're positioning this, because Canmon has to be behind it as the partner, but it's not going to be in the partner section. It's going to be in the experience center because it's all about the technology driving together. Going back to why did we choose Canmon as an embedded lending solution? It's part of the Avionte software. So it's not like I talk to somebody else and there's disjointed service process and disjointed integration. And I have to go to another tab, and it's a completely different way of doing service delivery.
All right, let's give a plug out to Connect one more time. There it is right there. Register. I'll be there. Scott will be there. The whole crew will be there. It's a blast. When I call it the A team, it's incredible. Avionte puts on a heck of a show. I got to tell you, Scott.
Yeah. I agree. I've enjoyed it every year that I've been here.
It's a blast. I've been here for a couple of years, so I'm excited for this one. Okay, brother. So you ready to talk about your life? So a lot of people know about Scott, and this little hobby turns into like a big hobby, I think. So tell everybody who you are when it comes to this hobby.
Yeah. So if you go to my webinars, you'll hear my intro is Scott Pacial, Senior Vice President, Avionte Plus. Avionte Plus is everything beyond the core platform. I've been in the industry for 20 years. I've been with Avionte for 5 years, and I have the best role in my life right now. While working for Avionte is great. It's my role as a husband and father of 4 little ones who are 8, 10, 12, and 14. Wow. That all helped me with my sweet hobby of making maple syrup.
Look at that.
Yeah. So it's the maple syrup is the hobby thing that has turned from a hobby to a pretty hefty production each year.
I got to tell you, are you bringing any to Connect? Just to let you know.
The thing is, if you remind me, I bring it. So what I do is I actually jar it in 3-ounce sizes, so that it's TSA approved.
Oh yeah,
so when I
look at you.
So I go visit our technology partners, or they come visit me. I'm able to give out because I don't sell it. It's not worth my billable hour because it is a lot of work, but it is a time for me to connect with my kids. So they help me. We get on the 4-wheeler, we go out and we this year we tapped 55 trees on the property. And so my girl's riding on the 4-wheeler with me as we go out there and we put the
Oh, I
buckets
bet
out. And
that's priceless, man.
yeah, exactly. And then we have to bring the wood in during the year, right? And my son can split it, so we're sitting there splitting wood. Or so you would bring it in. I have a 275-gallon holding tank, so I fill that thing up. It takes about a week to fill that up during the maple syrup season, which is only a few weeks of the year. And then my son comes out. He sits next to me while we're evaporating the syrup outside. So it's just at the time of the turn of the weather for Minnesota. So like there's snow on the ground, but my driveway is clear. So the kids are like riding their bikes up and down the driveway as I'm sitting on the other side of the driveway with these evaporators going. It's a good family event, but it's a lot of hours of work.
Brother, you need to put this on YouTube, man. Have your own channel for this, man.
Yeah, that'd be editing more video,
right?
Yeah. Man, that'd be more time to put into the hobby. And my wife tells me how much time I can actually put into the hobby. So usually I get 3 weekends out of it before she's like, really, that's enough. Yet I made 8 gallons this last year. She's like, 8 gallons is enough.
So I take it you haven't had store-bought syrup in a while.
I bought some when I was in Canada this last year just to make, just to do a taste comparison, right? And mine definitely tastes better than what I had up there. But
Go for it.
I've gotten into craft maple syrup making. So I've twisted it with jalapenos in it, which you take jalapenos out when you bottle it, vanilla, cinnamon, coffee. I did a coffee vanilla twist.
Oh, time out
this year.
Because I'm a coffeeholic. You have a coffee syrup?
I have a coffee syrup. Yep. You have to remind me, and I'll bring some for you. This year, I've done those before. This year, I ventured into paprika, smoked paprika. I'm doing a fall flavor, which is allspice and clove. So definitely a hobby that could get out of hand if you're not careful.
Well, I'm going to call you the guru, man. You are Scott the Syrup Man. That's your nickname now, dude.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Well, hey, brother, thank you so much for coming on. If you guys get a chance, you got to check this out. They can reach out to their rep or just reach out to, I'm sure there'll be some links down here for the Avionte Plus and the SmartFund program so they can reach out to y'all. Yeah,
just one last plug is go to smartfund.avionte.com, scroll halfway down, and there's a video, 3-minute video. It's going to give you another explanation here and gives more of the customer stories of what I went through. And then there's FAQs at the bottom of it because you're going to be like, who is Canmon? How does it work? What are repayment terms? Like all those things that are rolling around your head, it should all be answered on smartfund.avionte.com.
Dude, I love this, man. This is what you guys came up with in last year, man. This is amazing stuff here. And it's going to help a lot of, I'm going to tell you, small staffing firms are going to eat this up, man. This is stuff for them right off the bat. And then the big dogs too. You got that in your little safety toolbox. You're good to go too.
Absolutely.
All right, Brother Scott. Well, hey, thank you so much. That's a wrap this time. We'll see you next time. And remember, connect. I think it's the first week in August, right?
Yep. 4th, 5th, and 6th, if I remember correctly.
Be there in Minnesota. We're going to have some fun. See you guys later. Take care.
Thank you.